The mood inside Allen Park just shifted from steady to urgent. The kind of jolt that makes coaches recheck third and long menus and makes a general manager clear the whiteboard because a door that looked bolted in August just clicked open a notch. And I'm going to walk you through exactly why this matters for Detroit right now. I'll show how our front seven is one piece away from dictating playoff tempo. I'll map the timeline before the November 4th deadline. I'll lay out a clean, adult trade structure that doesn't burn our future. And I'll put the spotlight on the specific edge profile that turns Aiden Hutchinson from a star into a closer every single Sunday. Stay with me, because when the name drops, you're going to feel the fit in your bones and understand why this move isn't about headlines. It's about January football. Here's the situation on the grass. Simple and real. Our defense has an identity stout against the run early, violent in pursuit, discipline on the back end, and yet the games that get sticky are the ones where a good quarterback lives on second reaction, and our four-man rush is a half step late. Hutch draws chips, slides, and tight ends. Allen McNeil eats doubles. The gains and stunts dent the pocket. But the final shove that knocks the ball out or forces the rush throw hasn't been automatic. And that's the difference between good Sundays and the kind of Sunday you still feel on Wednesday. So Brad Holmes has the same file on his desk he opened last year when he pulled a quiet, mid-round pick swap for veteran Juice, a targeted, timeline-friendly pass rusher who wins fast with length. Bend and finish. Not a scheme overhaul, not a cap bonfire precision. In a league that punishes panic buys, Detroit buys only when the market blinks. The calendar matters. The deadline falls right after Vikings in Week 9, post-bye, and the leverage window is tight. Miami's locker room has lived a storm. And when a team with expectations hits turbulence, market logic replaces wishful thinking. That's where the fit gets loud for us. Dan Campbell's defense under Aaron Glenn is built to choke space and earn 3rd and 7s. What flips those downs into punts is a closer opposite Hutchinson, who can win the edge without help and still run the hoop when the quarterback climbs. It changes everything. Coverage can stay honest, simulated pressures become a choice, not a need, and your NASCAR package on money downs becomes a problem that travels into bad weather. Now to cap, because grown-ups talk money, Detroit wants rollover space to fund internal extensions. So any acquisition has to live in a narrow lane short remaining salary this season, flexible future path, and room to add not likely to be earned, incentives that reward production without crushing 2026 planning. You are not buying a long, expensive promise. You are renting a pass rush spike for a playoff run with the right to talk extension only if the fit is perfect, and the medicals sing. The right trade sits in the Daria-style neighborhood we've used before. Think a 2026 Day 3 pick with a playtime or sack-based escalator that can nudge it higher. Plus a late pick swap 2 drafts out to make it tidy. Nothing reckless, nothing that blocks our board next spring. And the football value. This target wins with a first step that forces tackles to turn their hips early, long levers to keep his chest clean, and a finishing gear that shows up when quarterbacks think they're safe. Exactly the traits that complement Hutch's heavy hands and relentless counters. You can run games inside with Allen, he can tee off wide 9 when we go light, and he carries just enough drop experience to disguise fire zones without telegraphing them. The rotation becomes honest and mean. Early downs Hutch all in bugs, call your target. Money downs Hutch sliding in a gap with the target, and a speed package outside. And then a fourth rusher who can win on the move so you're not living off 5-man heat. That's how you get off the field without borrowing from the back end. I'm not dealing in fantasy. I'm looking at what the tape from Miami has always said about this player when he's right. Explosive get off. Length to long arm through contact. Inside counter when the tackle oversets, and closing burst that turns tips into takeaways. Yes, injuries sit in the file. That's why the structure matters. That's why playtime conditions exist. And that's why you keep the price disciplined. But the peak is worth the phone call, and the fit in Detroit is football pure. Pair him with Hutch, and you change what offensive coordinators are willing to call on 2nd and 8 in the cold. Picture the effect on Ben Johnson's side of the ball, too. A defense that steals 2 extra drives per game is a gift to an offense built on balance, motions, and timing. 2 extra drives in January is 7 to 10 more points without changing your DNA. That's how roster math becomes scoreboard math. Now the reveal you waited for, clean and without smoke. The profile is Yellen Phillips. And the reason it won't leave my board is because the fit is exactly what we preach a straight line pass rush specialist with the tools to win early and the motor to finish late. On a contract year number that can be absorbed for a run if, and only if, the price stays in the grown-up lane. Put Phillips opposite Hutch and watch the geometry of our front change on day 1. First series, 2nd and long, we walk the front into a tilted wide look. Hutch threatens inside. Yellen threatens high side. Alim drives the center back into the quarterback's lap. And now the ball comes out before the route finishes. Suddenly your nickel lives in 3rd and forever instead of chasing crossers for 9 seconds. Red zone? Same story. You compress reads by winning edges, and Phillips has red zone burst that closes the back door when quarterbacks roll away from Hutch. 2 minute? You keep 4 on the field who can all threaten. That's how you win playoff possessions. Let me spell out the adult risk management so there's no confusion. Medicals are step 1. If they're not pristine, you pass. Playtime conditions are step 2. If Miami won't structure the draft compensation with thresholds, you pass. Price creep is step 3. If the ask jumps to premium territory because someone else panicked, you pass. This move only lives in the smart lane. It's not a trophy. It's a tool. And if the number is honest, you lock it in because the payoff spills all over the roster. Fewer coverage busts under stress. Fewer hero blitzes that leave the flat exposed. More 3rd and long snaps for our depth. And a quarterback who gets the ball back with an extra minute to work. That's January football. What about the locker room? This room respects workers. Phillips' brand when healthy has been work. Film, hands, angles. No drama? That plays here. The row is sharp. Opposite Hutch, eat the edge. Don't freelance. Win your rush lane and finish. Leaders like Alex Anzalone and C.J. Gardner-Johnson will police the standard. Dan will set the tone on day 1. Violence, discipline, team first. That's alignment. Timeline next. The only window that matters is now until the bell on November 4. Detroit's leverage rises if we stack wins and stay healthy because we can walk away. Miami's leverage rises if he cooks the next 2 games. That's the dance. Brad Holmes has shown he'll wait out sticker shock. He'll also strike fast when the number lands where the model says go. Expect a quiet week, then a sudden 90-minute sprint if the variables line up. And if it doesn't happen, we're still built to win ugly and win late with Hutch closing and the interior leaning on people. But if it does, this defense gets a mean streak that doesn't turn off. Here's my verdict as straight as I can say it. The football logic on Yellen Phillips of Detroit is airtight if the medical's clear and the price lives in the mid-round. Escalator-protected lane. The cap math works as a rental with smart incentives. The on-field impact is immediate in the moments that decide playoff games 2nd and long, red zone, and 2 minute. Before I get out, I want your read because this channel lives by the pulse of people who watch the trenches snap to snap. What's your packet ceiling for Phillips at 2026 fourth that becomes a third at 60%? Snaps and 8 sacks? Plus a late swap, or do you hold and trust our current rush to heat up down the stretch? Who's your closing four with him in the building Hutch, Phillips, Alim, Krause? Or do you slide a speed rusher inside and let Hutch monkey a gap? Drop it below. I'll pin the sharpest blueprint and we'll keep the debate clean and concrete. My closing analysis, concise and professional. Phillips is a surgical ad who hardens Detroit's identity without compromising tomorrow. Do it only if the conditions are right and the price respects the plan. If this breakdown helped you see the field clearer, hit like, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report. Turn on alerts and ride with me. We'll be first on the truth and we'll keep it football.